Hello everyone, this is Diane. I have my large paper doll journal ready to go in my shop. So when you see this video, it will be in my shop. It measures 8 inches wide by 10 3/8 inches tall, so it's kind of big, and it's got a 2-inch spine. You can see it is a vintage textbook, and I love the picture on the front. Now I have to say that there were very light pen marks on it, and I was able to remove some or lighten some, but they are still there. But they're not very noticeable. And she's got these lines of the cage over her face, so that kind of helps disguise. There's a pen line right there and right there, but very faint. I want you to be aware of that. And then other places on here I just covered with these fabric pieces and also just embellished. These aren't all covering things. I think these are covering something, and maybe this piece. The rest are just embellishments. So this is a yo-yo, and I put on these little fabric embroidered flowers. There's a piece of fabric around the edge because the edge was pretty raw. And a paper doll outfit here. A little border strip and a ticket. There's some crochet. I think this is vintage. It's got a little bit of blue on the edge. On the back, there were spots to cover on the back, so I used a paper doily and some paper doll outfits. This was from a play set, a children's play set, with flocking on the back so it would stick to a background. And these pieces are from the same set. And there's a piece of fabric around the back cover also. The spine dangle is really fun. It has 6 strands, and it has blue, brown, and yellow beads, and some just fun vintage elements, and some not vintage. But this, for example, is a little lady with an apron on. I had to actually thread a needle with this thread to get it through her arm. I couldn't just put the thread through it. I was pretty surprised at that, but I got it on. This is a memory game piece. There's a little metal heart charm on it. That's vintage. There's a star button. This is a vintage bottle cap from a savings bank. And this is not a vintage key tab. So lots of fun things on that. And they are put on through an eyelet. So if you don't like this, you can just snip the threads and take it off. You won't be able to put it back on though. Okay, try to keep this right here so it is all in view. As I said, it's a paper doll theme journal, and I used a particular paper doll book from, I don't know if I have the date here. No, I don't. I think it's from the 60s. 50s or 60s. But it has 2 little dolls, and I put the names on the backs, Bonnie and Elizabeth. That way you'll know the clothing that goes with each doll, because you're getting the doll and all of the clothing that came in that book. And I cut this out with a big shot and a die and stamped Choose Joy. This is a fabric pocket. It's the same fabric that I put on the spine. You can see the inside of the spine has blue ticking fabric. I put a ribbon at the top, and then these little girls were cut from a fabric also. This is a vintage paper doll outfit that does not go with these girls. Anything that I glued down doesn't go with them. I wanted you to be able to have access to all of the clothes and accessories. And I cut them up. That was an uncut book, so we have all of the stuff with it. I stenciled the background with some flowers. And I put some ruffled eyelet on the edge there. Here's another paper doll outfit. And I did a little stamping. There's a lined paper with a little collage here, some tickets and a piece of border left over from that. And a little bird that I believe was cut from a paper doll book. There's a blue stationery sheet. And this is a digital. I don't know. I've had it for a long time, so I don't know where I got the digital, like what Etsy shop. But it was a digital that had several background settings for paper dolls. So it came with a paper doll book. So this is a dining room scene. Looks like it's very colorful and has some folk art in it. So all of the rooms were pretty colorful. And I think there's one room in each signature in this book. And I backed it. I printed lined colored paper on the back. This is a weekly planner page. I just like the bright colors. And this is a children's book page. There's a lot of white space here, so you could write something there. And I added one of the ruffles, part of a ruffle that Carrie, the paper monkey on Etsy and YouTube, sent to me. She sent me a whole bunch of fabric ruffles and clusters. I didn't use any clusters or fabric flips, but I did put the eyelet ruffle trim and the fabric ruffles in the book. There's another spot you can write. And I did have to sew scrapbook pages together or glue them together to make them wide enough for this book. I left this one plain. I will be including some images, figures from children's books and whatnot, probably some little digital images. Maybe some paper doll clothes too that you can embellish with. And this is a digital girl here. And a digital word there every day. This is gift wrap, vintage gift wrap. And this is another digital that had, well, you'll see the other side. It has some little paper dolls or paper doll dresses or something on it. In this bag, I put the clothing. Now, these dolls they don't have, I said that this would help you know what clothes goes on what girl, but the clothes aren't identified for what goes on each girl because they go on both. So their clothes are interchangeable. But you know their names anyway now. So I just put some of the clothing in this bag. And I cut those all out for you. And you can see I collaged on the bag. This is a scrap of paper with houses on it, but I thought they could be doll houses. And this is a little boy from that play set that has the flocking on the back. They're in bad condition. These pieces were pretty rough when I got them at a flea market. So there are folds and tears, but he's got cellophane tape on him, which was done when I bought it. And here's another collage. This is a digital girl and a bingo paper and a die cut building there. There is a Candyland card. And I used a page from this large Mother Goose book in each of the signatures. It's textured. I don't know how old this is because the date on it was 1930 something, and I think it must be a reproduction, but it doesn't say. It doesn't say what year it was reproduced, so, but it's just too new to be from the 1930s. They're very bright and very colorful and pretty. And this is the center of the signature. I did have to trim some off the bottom, but I folded in the sides so you don't lose any of that. Here's a password game card. And on the other side of the bag, we have just a note paper to write on. And I put a time card in there with this digital image of a little boy and a tab that I cut from scrapbook paper. And I put a punched out flower here. And there's another little collage. This girl was cut out of a Mother Goose book. This is the other side of that paper I was talking about. The digital paper, it has paper doll dresses on it. This girl is a digital, and I added these pom-poms to the edge. Now I got these pom-poms at a thrift store, like a vendor mall, and it does have some smudges up here because it was, I don't know how old it is, but I didn't even realize those smudges were there till after I glued it on. These animals came with the paper doll book, a bunny and a bear and a dog. And I glued these envelopes on and included this little Mary Engelbreit sticker. This could be used as a book plate in your book. And this craft card. And this is a vintage stationery envelope. And inside of this, I tucked a Project Life card, a calendar page from 1996, and 2 pages from a Mary Engelbreit booklet, a little book. Sorry, my furnace is about to come on and it makes a horrible noise. I'm going to go close my door. I just closed the door and it stopped making a noise, but I don't know if the furnace is going to come on or not. Here is a vintage reader page and a milk bottle cap, a vintage one. It's the other side of that dining room image. This has a vintage ticket and a digital heart. And here we have a digital Mother Goose card. So we'll have 3 of the 4 cards that go with Little Bo Peep. I didn't have the 3rd one or the 4th one. I don't know if I already used it in a different journal, but I don't have it now. So you have 3 of them. And these pretty colored paper clips. There's a paper doll dress. And a large paper doll dress. This had printed on it Ragsy's costume, and you'll see another outfit that belonged to Ragsy. I did not have the doll. All of these clothes that are used as just glued on pieces and pockets and things, they were clothes without the doll. I did not have the doll that went with them. This is from a 1960s pattern catalog, counter catalog, and I just put a little bit of embroidered trim there. And another little dress made into a pocket, and another counter catalog card, and it has some seam binding or bias tape with this picot edging sewn to the side. And she can peek out underneath that tab. This is a eyelet trim, but it's not ruffled. It's got some blue on it. I did more stamping here and then added these little paper doll pieces. A raincoat and a hat and an umbrella. This is from a Mary Engelbreit calendar, and it's little girls playing with paper dolls. Stationery. We're in the second signature now. I made a little cluster here with a scrap of paper, some tickets, and a little number that was cut from an old scrapbook paper. Here is a book page, and these images in this story look like rag dolls, and the goose looks like it's made out of a gingham fabric. It cracked. It was an old, thick paper, so when I folded it, it cracked, and then I glued this strip of paper to hold it together, and it came completely apart. So this is the hinge that's, I was able to sew it into the book because of that hinge. Here's another ruffle made by Carrie. I love the colors of that. A paper doll wrapping paper that I received in a Happy Mail. I love this. And I liked this scrapbook paper with this cover with the girl and the bird in the cage because there's some birds on this page. A little girl from a sewing, I think I made a copy of that one. And here are some more paper doll clothes. This is another little girl from that play set with the flocking on the back. a scrap of scrapbook paper and some tickets that I stamped onto pattern paper. And then I think this is a digital, and I stamped the word adorable. And we've got some more clothing here. Such cute outfits. An adorable little collage here. She is from the digital that I've been using. That was from a shop called Red Deb. R-E-D-D-E-B. She has a lot of retro images. This pink tag, this paper clip is not supposed to go underneath that pink tag. This is from dry cleaning ephemera that I got at a vendor mall. There's a Monopoly get out of jail free card. Here's another digital page from that set that had the paper doll clothes, and there's a paper doll nightgown there. Here we have Peter Pumpkin Eater. And this is probably Baba Black Sheep, and of course Jack and Jill, and the old woman in the shoe. And I just paper clipped a couple of things to the other side of this digital page. This is a list paper. It's very thin paper. Things to do, places to go, people to see. And this is a KB and Friends digital card with the little girls on it and boys. This is from another game, and this is a social credit loan note for $700. I don't know what the name of the game was. I don't remember. Here's another bag. It's a little bit smaller than the first one. That was the last one I had like that. And it just has a random lined paper on it. Morgan Business Forms Incorporated. And I put washi tape here and this little vellum sticker. Maybe it wasn't a sticker. I glued it on. And a tag that I cut out of scrapbook paper. And this is the other Ragsies dress. And somebody put on, looks like some kind of threaded tape, like a medical tape or something, and made a tab out of it. I didn't cut a thumb notch in it. And I can't get it open. Here we go. You can do it if you can pick the book up. I was just trying to keep it still. Here's another digital from Red Deb, and this also, this blue piece, and then this is also from Red Deb. That's scrapbook paper. Another little pattern catalog girl and some blue pom-poms. There's a vintage bingo score sheet there. Now, these little pockets, you may have seen them in one of the videos, because I think I did publish that video. You have to untie the bow, and you can remove the thread from one of the holes. You don't have to take it out of both holes, so it's still in this one. But you can take it out of both holes. And then I put a yellow piece of paper in here just to cover those up and keep them from slipping through the opening. But there are tiny little bows that go with the paper doll outfits. And this floral bouquet was on one of the pages too. So you could use this as something to just glue down and decorate your pages. So they go in there. Cover them with the paper and fold the flaps in. Thread through the hole again, and then just tie it. So I'll do that later. And this little pocket here, same thing, but it has little shoes in it. Look at these adorable shoes and socks. And little cowboy boots even. that up later. Another milk bottle cap. And another of the Little Bo Peep cards. And these cards are from 1986. Stationery page with another vintage ticket. And this is from it's a skee ball coupon from Great Adventure Six Flags. And this is the other side of the Mary Engelbreit calendar. It's got a place to doodle right there. This is a digital, but it looks like it's Betsy McCall from the Betsy McCall paper dolls. Used to come in the McCall's catalogs back in the day. Now the furnace is coming on. This is a big pocket from a dress or apron or something, but the fabric is little paper dolls and clothes. And I added this pretty sheer bow. I had to cut off the top of the pocket and this end of the pocket because it was really big. But this was the pocket. And I added this note paper, Play It Safe Around Electricity, Louie the Lightning Bug. This is from New York State Electric and Gas Company. I only had a few of those papers and I love them. This is a things to buy and things to do list with a dot grid on the back. And a vintage bingo card, and I just sewed a paper coaster to it and put pattern paper and a list, things to buy list on the front or on the back. You have to kind of put that in sideways, and then once it's in far enough you can turn it. The third signature has another paper doll fabric. It's a little boy with little boy outfits, and I got that in a Happy Mail. It's more ruffled eyelet, and I put a shiny blue ribbon at the top and a red ticking pocket. The pocket holds this small tag with another die-cut house. This is an antique advertising card. It was for some kind of a soap. I didn't mind covering the back because it had been glued into a scrapbook, so there was glue residue and pieces of the pulpy scrapbook page still stuck to the back. And this piece here is left over from a patchwork piece that I had cut up and used. Another little paper doll dress and some swirly stamping there. And this scene is from a little boy's bedroom. Another cluster from Carrie. And I love this card, Happy Birthday to a Sweet Girl. She is just so adorable. And I thought she was perfect with these paper dolls. This is a very old Progressive Bridge Score sheet, and it's probably from the 30s. Can you see the font on that? It's pretty cool. And I added this paper doll hat, and I made this pocket with my my Big Shot and a die. I have a die for the pocket, and then I had to trace around it to cut out something to back it with, so I didn't want the slots, but it would normally have slots. This is just collaged with a variety of papers, and this is vintage wrapping paper. There was something cut out of it here, so I added a paper. I just wanted to use the kittens because they're so cute. Another bag with paper doll clothes. This is the last of them, I believe. And I put a guest check on it to write on, and then I added this little heart that I punched out of a book page, and you can tuck the flap of that underneath that. There's a note paper, list paper glued there with, these girls were cut out of a very old pattern, like just a white paper pattern for clothes. And I don't know if it was doll clothes or little girl clothes, but I really love those images. It's more paper doll digital paper. Monopoly money. This is Mistress Mary. And, oh, Mary had a little lamb there. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, and Little Miss Muffet. Here I have just a little note paper. It has April at the top with some umbrellas and an Uncle Wiggily card. And on the other side of the paper bag, I have a bingo sheet and this little book image. This is from Gio Fujikawa book. I die cut it with my oval. I guess it's sort of oval, but it's wider than an oval, but I love this die set. And then I cut one with orange yellow cardstock. And here is another tag with a paper doll pajama set with a toothbrush and a glass of water. That is a huge toothbrush for putting in a little child's mouth. Looks like a little brush you would use to clean around the edges of your counters or sink. And look at that really cute green see-through raincoat and umbrella. There was also another piece cut out of this part of the, see right there, just that little piece there, but I put a larger piece of blue grid, so because it went over the fold, and that gives you a cute little grid to write on. And this one has the lime green pom-pom trim. And here we have, oh, we weren't done with the accessories for the doll clothes. I added 2 little vellum pockets, and each pocket has hats. So there are several hats in each vellum envelope. And some KB and Friends journaling cards. And another milk bottle cap. A ticket and a digital heart, and bring their tails behind them. I think it's supposed to be wagging their tails behind them. At least that's what I grew up singing. And then we have another scrapbook page. Just a few of my favorite things is stamped up there, and a little paper doll dress down here, and a big paper doll coat on the back. And this is very old. You could see one of the fingers was gone. The end of one of the fingers is gone. There are cracks and folds in this, but I'm hoping it's protected now that it's glued down to cardstock. I made a tag with this really adorable gift wrap. And this is an antique trade card or advertising card for Ayers Cherry Pectoral. It was glued into a scrapbook. You can see where the glue was, but it didn't really damage it too much. Such a cute card. And in the back pocket, I got a pen mark on it right down here. And so I just added this fabric ruffle, and it covers up the pen mark. And these girls are cut from the front cover of the paper doll book. You can journal on them. You could fussy cut around them and do something with them. And these are the words, the title of the paper doll book, Dolly's Fashion Show. So I cut those words from the front cover also. And there it is. It's a beautiful paper doll book with lots of vintage things in it, including the paper dolls themselves, and some vintage things on the dangle. And I am going to include some elements. I have not even begun to put together the pack that'll come with it, but it'll have pieces of the scrapbook paper that I used, and it will have paper doll clothes and probably some tickets, and some of the little digital images, and some images from children's books, among other things. So you'll get a pack of things to play with this journal. Thanks for coming to see this book, and come back to see the rest. I have 2 more paper doll books to make. All I've done so far is put the covers together. Well, there's only one that's going to go in my shop. This is the one that will go in my shop. And I bought this paper doll golden book for me to make one for myself. So all I've done is, like I said, put the cover together, and I have some pages selected, and that's it. So I'll get started on these and see how far we get with them this week. Thanks for coming along with me today, and I hope you're having a creative day. As I said, this journal will be in my shop when you see the video. I'm not going to schedule it. I'm just going to put it in there. But maybe I'll schedule the next paper doll one. We'll see. Just depends on my schedule. I have a busy week this week, and I just don't want to have to think about it. So anyway, all of that to say, it'll be in my shop. And if it's not there, it's because it's already sold. And I just thank you guys so much for watching my videos, for subscribing, for commenting. I love reading your comments. And for going to my shop and making purchases. It all means so much to me. I hope you're having a creative day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.